Today on the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, we are discussing WandaVision, feedback, and theories.
Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. My name is Matthew Carroll.
And I'm Jeff Randall.
Jeff Randall, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Man, it's rough. It's been a rough day. It's been a long Monday.
Yeah.
I pass. Can I pass on this question? Can we just go to Ashley?
Yep. Yes, we can. Ashley, what's up?
Hi, I have so many thoughts in my head. Like, it's so much content and things I want to talk about. I can't even I don't know where to start. So you start.
Yeah. It's hard to get them all out at once, especially after an episode like this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. What was your biggest takeaway, Ashley? You're the one who hasn't talked about it yet. What's the thing?
Publicly.
Yeah. Talk to the cast yet.
So much. So I think that I was thinking that the kids probably have the powers that they have because they were also kind of created from a stone. That's kind of was my takeaway with the kids. Gotta have so many little bullet points. I think that obviously Pietro's not Pietro. He made it very clear that he is not the brother. And I think that him showing the dead version, the altered dead version of himself was just trying to freak her out a little bit more, or cause her grief, as he said himself.
Interesting.
I'm trying to go fast to get us through this because we have so much feedback. I think that Wanda zapped him because she didn't want him bringing up that Vision was dead in front of the kids. Because that was pretty brutal.
Good call.
Right in front of the kids.
Yeah, right as she said, your husband can't die twice. She blasts him. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't bring that up in front of the kids.
Well, and she's really the only person who has brought up Vision's death, right? That's the first time she's really been forced to confront Vision's death while inside the simulation or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Besides seeing him all zombified.
Right, but that was her. She can't blast herself, or at least it was whatever, Yeah. Oh, no.
And I definitely think that Agnes was faking it because why was she there? What was she doing out there? She wasn't moving like everybody else. I don't know. And
she was lucid.
Yeah.
She wasn't that lucid, though. Everybody keeps saying that, but, yes, she had a little more. Well, no, after he touched her, she was lucid.
What I mean when I say that she's lucid is, before he touched her on the temple, she was able to, to make phrases and gentle sentences, so to speak.
Sure. She's slightly more lucid than the other people.
Right.
Yeah.
And she was super far away from where Wanda was. And all of the other people who were super far away from where Wanda was were just completely immobile.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And what she was saying seemed just a little contrived. I feel like she was trying to fish to see what Vision knew. And I don't know, it seemed a little sneaky. And then she gave one hell of a witch cackle. I don't know what you classify as a witch cackle, but that was a witch cackle.
That was a witch cackle.
They are deliberately making Agnes look that way. I don't know if it's because she is that way or because they want to misdirect us all, but I still think that both those options are very much on the table.
And her butt said naughty. Her butt rhinestone 90s.
Oh, well, the pants I'm wearing say that right now. That doesn't mean I'm a witch.
Matt's a witch. Confirmed. That is Mephisto.
Knew it.
Got naughty on one butt cheek and juicy on the other one.
Yeah, but other than that, I'm all aboard the choo-choo Mephisto train.
All right. I think we got a lot of people wrote in this week because we had a similar situation where we had tons of feedback, and I got to as much of it as I could. I threw as much in this thing that had different ideas in it as I could, so we're going to get to that. Lots of feedback to go through this week. Did want to mention one last time, because it is the last week you can get the best chances to win all the prizes. We do have Marvel Cinematic Universe trivia this Wednesday and every Wednesday on twitch.tv/strandedpandatv. We go at 7 o'clock. We start the stream. By 7:30 we start the trivia. And you guys should be there. It is so much fun. It has been a light in a very dark year for me, just having the interaction with all you guys. I'm absolutely loving Wednesday nights. So if you want to be a part of just
And
something
you can
fun,
win one of these.
yeah, look at that. People on the video stream, that on the podcast you're not seeing it, but Jeff is holding up a very cool Hail Hydrate bottle opener. So it like opens beer bottles and it says Stranded Panda, and it has a Panda Hydra logo, and it says Hail Hydrate.
Pandra.
It is super cool. So you can win one of those, but you can also win an Oculus. We're giving away 2 Oculus Quest 2s this year, this season.
Yeah, the bottle openers are a weekly prize.
Yeah. Bottle openers and t-shirts are the weekly prize, and then you can also win the Oculus Quest 2s. So come to that. This is the last week to kind of get in when you can win all the prizes, basically. Still, if you're in the top, you can still win all the prizes. Because we dropped the lowest 2 scores, which we've done 2 weeks so far. So if your lowest scores are 0, they get dropped. Anyway, so that's our little ad for trivia this week. But we won't do that every week. But being the last week, I want to let you guys know one last time. Let's dive right into feedback. How about it, Jeff?
Sure. I want to point out that, I know before we read any of this stuff, I'm going to say the word Mephisto a lot tonight. So, Gail and everybody else who's tired of us saying Mephisto, I am sorry.
Yeah.
But that's what's on the brain.
Here's the thing. I think because we have always been a show about the on-screen content, talking about Mephisto is fine, but I think it is more fair, especially to people who don't know the comics, to talk about the idea that it could be someone behind it. You know what I mean? Start there. Because yes, Mephisto's a possibility, but so is Nightmare, so is there's a lot of possible other forces.
Mojo.
And we could go into the comics literally and name almost any villain or hero and give some justification for them being the person. And I realize that there's a lot of dark imagery, there's something evil afoot, it seems. But I think just sticking with the idea that there's something that if this is someone else doing this could all be coming to that. Because I think that is an easy thing you get to from watching the show. Maybe there's something else behind this. Maybe Agnes is involved, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel constantly saying Mephisto.
Okay, so we're going to switch, and it's going to be Dormammu.
Okay, yes, Dormammu. Dormammu.
In her
Nightmare,
Sokovian
whoever.
accent, you can just imagine Wanda coming up. Dormammu have come to bargain.
I love it. And we do have a lot of people that wrote in things that are, okay, people are saying Mephisto, but what about this?
Yeah, I like the Mephisto but ones. Let's get to it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Brendan said, prediction about the mockumentary episode. This will be the episode we see everything from Wanda's perspective, and she will be commenting on it in the interviews like Julie Bowen from Modern Family.
I thought this was interesting. The idea that...
Is Julie Bowen or Bowen?
I don't know. Bowen, I'm guessing. But I like this idea that she could be breaking the fourth wall in the show that's already breaking so many fourth walls. And talking, we already know she's going to be doing that, but I like this idea that it's showing it from her perspective, because we've only seen a glimpse from her perspective so far. So what if Brendan didn't say this exactly, but what if it's not just a shift to her perspective, but what if we do similar to what we did in the 4th episode and we go back to the beginning and we tell the story from Wanda's perspective? What if that's what we get in the 4th episode? Or they keep talking about the shifts happening in episode 4 and in episode 7, where they're sort of different acts of the story. So what if in episode 7, which is this week, we get a real breakdown of what's been going on inside Wanda's head this whole time?
Yeah, I kind of feel like this is the turning point. We've come too far to go back. The end of Act 2 is often supposed to do. This is the point of no return. She just made the hex larger by a considerable amount of space.
Yeah.
And you don't really go back from that. But that said, a lot happened in this episode, but we still don't really have any answers as far as how this all started, what's making it happen, who might be behind it, if it's actually Wanda, what the hell's going on with Hayward, why he's the one guy that made it away when all of the rest of everybody got stuck. Like, we don't have any real substantial answers for it. I feel like anybody outside of our little, our little, almost 700 people group in the Strain of Panda chat, anybody that's outside of that, it's like, hey, what the hell's going on in WandaVision? We're like, I don't know.
Yeah. Like all the information that we have and all the stuff that we've talked about, still we know next to nothing, we have a lot of theories and almost no answers.
Yep. And, your guess is as good as mine. I've basically just been calling it Schrodinger's show. Is that all theories are both true and false until observed to be so.
Yep. All of them are Schrodinger's theories.
Yep. Let's see. Timothy Trevor said, my 9-year-old son, his name is Ronan. That's a great name. Believes the twins, specifically Billy/Wiccan, brought Quicksilver in because their mom was grieving and they wanted to make her happy. Wiccan in the comics does have some degree of this ability. Since the kids never met the uncle, or because he's actually dead, could explain why they had to use the recast version. Maybe he was the first available Quicksilver.
I love this theory. Good job, Ronan. Killing it at 9-year-old theories there. That's awesome. And I also like,
I love it.
I like I really appreciate Ronan for being like, this is what a kid would do. You know what I mean? Like a kid would want to help his mom. And
yep.
And that's just a very sweet thing. I really love that.
Yeah, sometimes we need that perspective. Put it on the board.
Put it on the board. Love it. Good job, Ronan. Thank you, Timothy, for writing it in.
I thought it was interesting that Billy seemed a little not scared of Pietro, but when he woke him up, he was like, we don't want to wake him. He's like, what are you worried about? It's our uncle. And he's looking at him with their creep eye, pretending to be snoring. It's all very nefarious.
Oh, there's tons of great nods to this all being nefarious. I just don't know yet if it's actually nefarious. I mean, he calls them little hell spawn.
Oh, there's
demon
so
spawn.
much. Demon spawn.
He's like,
unleash hell, demon spawn.
Chasing them around the house in a scary way. There's definitely a lot going on.
I don't know about all that.
Well, when he snuck up on her, that was pretty violent. He was like, boo!
Yeah, he did. It was very similar to when she turned around and he was the dead body version of himself. I think that was kind of foreshadowing or sort of foreshadowing that. I don't know.
Honestly, I'm not looking into those particular instances that much. The chasing the kids around the house and when he just kind of popped up on her after she sent Vision away or after Vision left.
Right.
Because those were very in the Malcolm in the Middle 90s, early 2000s style,
for sure,
comedy show.
Yeah, for sure. But that's the point.
It fit the brand, or it fit the style.
But that's the point.
Yeah.
All of the stuff he said fit the style. So did look at those little demon spawn over there. That fits the style, but it's still a reference to the possibilities outside the show. All the things he said make sense.
Blake 11 brings up a good point that I was thinking about too, is that he also can break the fourth wall because he saw Billy talking to the camera when usually the narrator only speaks to the camera from that Malcolm in the Middle thing and nobody notices. When he was like, Mom and Dad are having trouble, he looks over and he noticed it, and that's a little strange.
Well, Tommy talks to the camera later.
Yeah, but you don't usually notice, when the one person's talking, other people aren't supposed to notice, especially the adulties.
Well, it seemed like Billy and Tommy were both they were kind of a tandem unit of one or both would be talking to the camera and be like, no, we need to get back to what's going on around us.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, I think what Ashley's saying is that it seems that Pietro has some sort of ability to see that. And I think that fits really well with the idea that he's the only person that also knows what's going on other than Wanda.
You meant Pietro was talking about. Okay. Yeah. I misinterpreted. I thought you meant one of the kids was seeing the other one talk to the camera. And I was like, yeah, they're twins. They're a unit.
Oh, gotcha.
You put them in a trench coat and they're fine.
Yeah, as Sarah J.K. said, he is a man-child, but I don't think he was supposed to hear those conversations. And it was only that one part where he looked over.
Yeah, it definitely seems like one of two things is happening. Pietro has some power outside of the scenario and is possibly nefarious, or she created him to have a sounding board and to be able to see through this because she's questioning herself and needs her brother's advice, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's saying what she wants to hear. He's like, I'm really impressed. I don't think it's wrong.
Ooh, see, I don't know if he's saying what she wants to hear. I think in some ways, yeah, that part was kind of dark. That part was dark. When he's like, oh, yeah, I think you've weighed the ethical scenario as best you could, and still be able to bring Vision back.
Oh my God, that was so sinister.
You guys had that theory about, we were saying like, what if everybody was dead and like the school got blown up, and it was like, what if everybody's just lying in the town and she reanimated all these dead kids? Like, I went to a really dark place when he's like, where did all these kids come from? Because it's like, what if, if it is a lost situation and the town is like, got blown up by the sword stuff? I don't know. Whatever you guys were talking about, that just came back to me when I was watching it. I was like, oh.
Well, that theory about the idea that like something tragic happened and destroyed a school, similar to what happened in the comics for Civil War, and then this is just my random theory from a few weeks ago, and then maybe she's not, this whole for the children thing from the first two episodes wasn't just about creating these two children, it was about creating children for the entire town. And while they say we haven't seen any other children around, that was the same episode that Tommy and Billy were created. So isn't it conceivable that at the same time or slightly after, all the other children were populated into the town? Because I don't think that Pietro's right when he says, where you been hiding all these kids this whole time? You just have them sleeping in their beds? That's not the answer. Those kids came from somewhere or were created whole cloth or something. Or all this entire town is wishing upon an Agnes to create their like their ghost children. I don't know. It's dark, but I do think there's some merit there, because also it would give it would really make us understand this sort of turn that Wanda has made. If we find out that that's what's going on, that she's like actually trying to create these children, then I don't know.
It's pretty dark.
So Julie, my wife, followed this rabbit hole. She was like, okay, so what if they're all dead, right? Everybody in the town is dead. And like on the Halloween episode, it looked like Herb was a Frankenstein's monster kind of thing, like a reanimated corpse or a bunch of reanimated corpses. So like, it could be that everybody was a Halloween, like their Halloween costume was what they actually are. And I was like, that's a real dark place. Cause like I started looking in the background. I'm like, I'm seeing a skeleton. I'm seeing a ghost. I'm seeing a skeleton. I'm seeing a zombie. Like, no. Oh no, this went real dark.
Yeah. And then there was that mask thing that was just standing there being a freaking creep.
That what thing?
That one, when she's talking to Herb, behind Wanda, there was just this figure that just stands there and stares and doesn't move. And at first it just looks like a decoration, but the wind blows by when Pietro goes and you can see a hand. And it's a black cloaked mask thing, and it's just standing there, ominous, staring at them the whole time, not moving when everybody else is moving. It was very creepy.
Yeah.
It must be Agent Franklin.
I also saw some things online about how that character looked a lot like a character from comics too, or like that.
Oh, really? I thought it might have been like Agnes, and then she was like, oh, her and Vision are separated, and maybe she put herself at the end of town, but I don't know. Yeah.
I think there's just more going on. I don't know. I don't think, or I think there might be less going on. Maybe like I just think there's something like we all are looking for deep answers as to like these like comic book characters and stuff, and I just think it's something that's Wanda has some motivation to be here, and she's using this power that she's just discovered, possibly with the help of someone like Agnes, that is amplifying it, and she's being able to do all this stuff. I don't know. Super fun, man. It's so good.
I know.
Let's get into a lot more feedback. We gotta move faster.
Okay. Jordan Pierce, one of our patrons, said, Jeff, I think you're onto something. Thank you. I know. I'm great at this. Anyway, he says, I don't think that was Wanda that came out to confront everyone. It was just too convenient. First, she had way too much accent, in my opinion. It was just way too thick. Much more than she has ever displayed in the past. Second, that scene happened while she was looking for the dog with the kids. And I doubt she left the kids' side even for a moment to go out there and confront the group. I smell a frame job.
Mm-hmm.
And then it looks like he also says, in one episode, they state that Wanda was born in 1989. So if it's 5 years after the snap, she would be in her early 30s, right?
Is that right? I couldn't do the
Yes.
math on it.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the early 30s.
Yeah, we were assuming that it's in 2023
I think that's right.
is when post-snap or unsnap or whatever happens. So
After the
yeah,
blip, it's 23,
doing the math there would put us at 33.
33, 34, somewhere in there. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I don't know. Just thought that was nice. Supporting your theory that,
That is nice of him. More of that.
That maybe when Wanda steps outside the bubble, she is not Wanda, or that force that is doing that isn't Wanda. I don't know. I think it is. I think it's going to be needlessly convoluted if they try to tell us the story and have two Wandas running around and one's the real and one's the not. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. People in the chat are pointing out that she snapped, so she didn't age. So she's probably 29.
Oh, no, that's with the snap, right? Or no, you didn't subtract the snap.
No, that would have been, the people in the chat are right.
That's right.
33-ish would be with the snap, yes.
So 27, 28, 29, somewhere in there. Cool. Good job, chat.
It's the late 20s.
Yeah, I should have just pretended I did that math and been like, come on, Jeff.
More of this. More of correcting me. Oh, I see what you're saying. There's that weird, super long-nosed person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, watch how it doesn't move, and it has a human-looking hand.
I don't like it.
Yep.
No,
I don't like it at all.
It's creepy.
I don't like it one little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That is Halloween for you.
John Litz, another patron, says, getting into theories now, and after getting so Mephisto heavy, I'm starting to think Marvel really might be throwing us off on purpose. I've been digging through the internet, and I do think Mephisto will be making an appearance at some point soon, but is it possible we might see some introduction of Kang? Nobody really knows what Evan Peters' real identity is yet, and with Kang also being a traveler of time and space, and him already being confirmed for Ant-Man 3, is it possible he may be manipulating or working with an evil Loki disguised as Quicksilver as a device to deceive Wanda? Because Loki has never seen MCU Pietro, it could be possible he has only ever seen Fox Universe Peter during his time in the TVA, which is why Wanda does not recognize him and Darcy thinks he's been recast. Kang also has historically in the comics been threatened by Wanda's powers as well, and in the Uncanny Avengers storyline, he tries to kill the twins, which could be a possibility in WandaVision and even lead to Mephisto bargaining in and reabsorbing them. An introduction of Kang would, in my mind, be a complete shock for a lot of people, but still allow for Mephisto's intro as well. With the hexes directly relating to light speed jump points in Guardians of the Galaxy and the quantum tunnel in Ant-Man, there is that connection to space and time, which to me is a more Kang thing than a Mephisto thing. This is all a bit of a stretch, and I'm still heavily invested in Mephisto being the big bad, but just throwing this out there into the wind. P.S. Hayward's a dick. Double P.S. If somehow they work in the Earth X timeline, we could have an intro to Mephisto, Kang / Immortus, and Reed Richards. Triple P.S. To support the Loki theory, has Paul Bettany ever worked with Tom Hiddleston? I don't think so. Smiley face emoji.
I think they were in that movie about horse. There was a war horse, maybe. I'll give it a goog.
That's impressive.
Give it a goog.
To pull that out of nowhere.
It might not be true.
I don't know, Kang, I do think that there's something odd about the hexes. The hexes, as much as they're calling it a hex, and magic is just science we don't understand yet or whatever. They're calling it a hex, but nothing in this looks magic-y as much as it does science-y. All the hexagon technology we've seen in the MCU, it's all very technological. Everything we've seen that's hexagonal up till now has been technological. So it is strange to me that they'd use hexagons if that's like the new language of magic in this world, with the exception of the cages in Doctor Strange, which are holding the books, are apparently hexagons.
Yep.
So Kang is a possibility. Also Skrulls.
Honestly, like Doctor Strange, though, like their form of magic was drawing power from other dimensions.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, so there's a bit of science to it there as well.
Absolutely.
Or, you know, there's a way to hand wavy science that.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, man. Kang, it would be a weird thing to introduce Kang here, I think.
Yeah.
Because like Kang is so engulfed in pseudoscience and ridiculous stuff, you know? Like, I have time traveled from the 30th century to come back here and, you know, conquer this timeline so that my Earth does not get destroyed, and blah, blah. Like, he's weird. He's real weird. And that seems very much like an Ant-Man and the Wasp kind of thing, you know, because the weird, like, almost science, not pseudoscience. But
well, here's the thing. It doesn't have to be Kang here. Also, we know there's tons of different versions of Kang. So, like, what if we met, like, or we don't even have to meet. What if we just know, kind of like they did with Thanos at the end of Avengers, you see Thanos for a second and you know, oh, Thanos is coming. And so, like, the actual adventure we're part of now was not Thanos, but maybe he was not Kang, but he's maybe the force behind the force that's causing this. Like, I could see a case being made for, like, or someone steps in to stop all this, and it turns out that it's like Kang affecting the timeline, you know?
Yep.
Or they get some sort of assistance that they don't understand, or, you know, something like that that, like, allows them to realize something more is going on than like is here in front of us, I guess.
Yeah. And honestly, like, at this point, I'm kind of falling back into the feeling during phase 1, if you can remember what that felt like, where it was, you know, all of the movies in phase 1 were individual stories that were isolated from each other for the most part.
Right.
With like light, gentle crossover, you know, references more than anything. Nothing that was like, you know, this directly involves the events from that. It's all just, you know, they were origin stories from wherever, and then they came together in Avengers.
I hear that.
You know, to fight this thing. I'm like, we're at the point to where we've got to restart. Like, we're on a reboot of the Avengers, basically. But like, are we at the point along with that to where, like, this isn't really that connected to anything else that's coming up? Is it connected to the old stuff? Yes, but does this show lay the groundwork for literally everything else? I kind of hope not.
I'm with you in a way, and I'm always for connectivity, and I'm with you in a way that part of me wants smaller stories, because I think topping Endgame is just not going to happen.
Yeah, especially not now.
But the fact that she has been announced to be in Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, and Doctor Strange has been announced to be in Spider-Man, all that makes me feel like that is not the case, and that this is a story that is telling the beginnings that will lead into all of those stories. And maybe it's a different kind of connected. Maybe it's not small story combined to a big story, but they're going for more of the feel from comics, which is more like how you got multiple stories interweaving together. And yeah, they eventually lead to some sort of climax, but you know, they're always ever present. Everyone is around. Like, Spider-Man will just swing down and say something because he just happens to see whatever, some other hero running through.
He just happens to be in the neighborhood.
Yeah, someone comes through his neighborhood and he has to, like, swing down and say, "Hey, what's up?" Like, that kind of thing is very possible because they've built out the world so much up till now.
Well, see, like, that kind of thing is easily possible in comics, because all you got to do is draw him in there, right? Like, you just got to draw the character coming in, got to get approval from Marvel to put this character in there in this way, and they're like, sure. But it's different in film, because that's another actor you have to pay, and a lot of times especially for like a Spider-Man. Like that's another actor you got to pay a lot of money
Well,
just to show up for a scene or two. Like Chris Evans in Thor: The Dark World. When he
right.
just pops in.
That is, how much did they pay him? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know for that. And like, it's very possible that these things are worked out in their contracts these days where like, we don't see these contracts anymore. And it could be that they're like, you're reserved for 7 films and you're going to have to drop into these 2 TV shows because that's where the world is now. We're like doing this Disney Plus thing. And if you want to be a part of the MCU, you're signed up, and it's not going to get you a ton more money to be this like one scene, but you're going to be there, you know?
Right. It's about the fan pull at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be that. Let's see. Mark Dillard says, as you were talking about roles people play on the show, I wonder if it was intentional that the quip, which one of you is the sassy best friend? And then Jimmy steps in frame and speaks. A few minutes later, Jimmy throws the first punch while Darcy is wondering what the plan is. Jimmy is the sassy best friend.
I liked it a lot.
We knew that.
I liked it a lot. And it made me think about the line when she's like, what are you, the sassy best friend? And like, that's they're talking about a TV trope, you know? And like,
Yeah.
we're about to all they're all stepping into a world where the TV trope is there. I don't know. It's really interesting.
Yeah, they're watching a bit of reality be led down all of the TV tropes. It's kind of crazy.
And they're referencing TV tropes.
It's super meta. So
Yes.
that obviously means that Hayward is Mojo.
Yeah. This show
Yeah.
is the most meta show that's ever existed. Like,
Yeah.
it is more meta than Community. I mean, and Community went pretty far. Okay, maybe not Community.
It's more meta than Arrested Development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. Like, it's going very far in the meta direction. Like, a TV show inside a TV show, that's already so meta. And then, like, yeah, it's just, and then to have the TV show communicating with the outside world and having the characters inside the world referencing the TV show and watch. So, like, the show is a show to the people in the thing, and the audience in the show is an audience of the TV show, and we are also the audience. So it's like these weird levels of complication in the meta nature of the show. It's just super fun.
It's fun. And my comment on it being more meta than Arrested Development is that Arrested Development wasn't incredibly meta. So that's the joke, is that it's more
Interesting.
meta than a show that is not trying to be meta.
I would not agree with that at all. I think it's a very, very meta show.
Mm.
You literally have the
Agree to
announcer
disagree.
character who talks about the characters in the show and calls them assholes and stuff. Like, it's super meta. Like,
Ron
he's calling
Howard.
them. Yeah, Ron Howard. Ron Howard talks about being a producer on the show while he's being the narrator of the show. That is meta as hell.
Okay. But none of the characters mention, that they're being filmed or in a show or anything like that.
Oh, it doesn't
That's what I
break
mean.
the fourth wall. Breaking the fourth wall is
Yeah.
different than being meta.
Yeah.
I mean, sure.
Like, breaking the fourth wall is a way of being meta. It's like, it's one of those logic problems. Like,
Did you guys catch that tennis game the other day?
Yeah, sports.
hey, listen, digging down on what meta means, like, that's what I'm here for. I don't know about you guys. I realize it's off topic from WandaVision, but it's what I'm here for.
So meta.
Let's get back to the feedback.
That's what I showed up for today. You didn't get the memo?
I came here to pick this fight.
I wore my meta pants today.
One side says juicy, the other, no, sorry. Let's get back into this.
One side says naughty, one side says juicy, one side says meta.
How many butt cheeks do I have? I don't know.
Guess where the T is.
I don't remember if that naughty and juicy joke was on the podcast or if it was in the pre-podcast on the Twitch channel. So if you didn't get any of that, you should have hung out on the pre-show. Kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get in.
Come to Twitch where we have more jokes.
Are we being meta when we do that?
Yeah.
Tim Westcott says, hi, MCU cast people. I've been listening for about a year now, but this is my first time writing in. What prompted me to write in, you say? Well, mostly I'm tired of hearing about Mephisto theories.
Whoa.
I get why they're so prominent, but right now I think they are all kind of repetitive. Also, Mephisto doesn't really interest me, as I really dislike the horror/demon genre. Sorry, Ashley.
Aw, I appreciate that.
I'm to the point where I'm actively rooting against Mephisto being the primary driver of whatever is happening in Westview, although I'd be fine if his involvement was a side effect, as in, he just opportunistically taking advantage of the situation. Anyway, I know you've been flooded with feedback, so I won't go into detail about my own theories, but I do think the AIM theory has a lot of merit and could use more discussion. Here's some unrelated quick hits that I haven't heard mentioned. 1, what is Vision's job? Just calculating numbers? Could it be that Wanda needs Vision to keep this reality running? Maybe she stole his body in part because she needed his brain to stop whatever evil was happening at Westview? 2, Wanda has not actually been referred to as Scarlet Witch yet, and this was specifically mentioned by Jimmy Woo that she has no nickname. I think that she'll gain the Scarlet Witch title by the end of the series. 3, some trailers have Wizard of Oz references, which of course features the line, "Are you a good witch or a bad witch?" The same question we're asking about Wanda and Agnes. Number 4, the commercials are obviously about Wanda's traumas, and the first commercial featured a Stark product succeeding where Wanda failed, reference to Endgame. Thanks a lot, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
What was the succeeding where she had failed?
She burned her husband's toast.
Oh, wait, Wanda did?
I don't know.
I thought it was,
That was the beginning of the commercial.
Yeah, it was the lady in the commercial burnt the toast, right? They didn't succeed where Wanda had failed, right? I'm not wrong. I think that's right.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So he said it was all support of the AIM theory, I thought, or maybe he's just saying he thinks that AIM theory has a lot of merit, and these are 4 completely unrelated things. But yeah, I like
Here's
it.
an unrelated list.
I like it because, what is Vision's job? Why is he calculating numbers? That's a really great question that we have not given nearly enough credence to. I haven't, because it's just a small part of the episodes or the series so far. But it is weird that she sends him off to work every day to calculate numbers that he doesn't understand.
Yeah. And then what was it in episode 5? She said that Dad had to go to work, quote unquote. Yeah. Dad had to go to work. It was because he needed a distraction. So is going to a job and crunching numbers, is that a distraction for him? Is that just to keep him placated so that she can weave this reality around them?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and the whole idea of Vision and what is his status, because they had the whole fight where he's like, "You can't control me," and then she's like, "Can't I?" And then she doesn't, but then does. And then the really fascinating moment on this week's episode, I don't think we've talked about yet, is when she comes down the stairs and she's like, "Oh, you wore it." And he says, with a really deadpan, really upset face, "Well, there was nothing else in my closet." And then and then he goes, I just knew you liked wrestlers." It's like he broke
Chile con carne.
Yeah, chile con carne.
Yeah.
He broke her spell for a second, and there's real drama there between the two characters.
He does it twice in that conversation. He does it at that point. And then the other point is when she starts to be like, "Well, that's not what you're supposed to do." When he's going to the Night's Watch and he's like, "What's that? What are you saying?" And she's like, "Nothing."
It's like this weird thing, though, because she could just freeze it all and make it all go back, but she wants him to accept the reality. It's this weird thing.
Yeah, she wants him to want it.
Yeah.
And she wants him to want the same reality that she wants, and it looks like she's trying not to control him because it looks a lot like he notices, or he is noticing.
Yeah.
Or starting to notice, and it's probably pissing him off. You don't get to make these decisions for me.
Yeah.
And in that situation, if she had rewound it, she would have rewound everybody in the living room too. The kids and Pietra, and maybe because you can't control kids and you can't control a man-child that you didn't create. maybe she couldn't rewind it, and so she's trying to have to convince Vision to come along with her, at least in front of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
There's an interesting parallel here because she's got the beginning of the story, the first few episodes before the 80s one. She was always worried about revealing her powers to the people around her. Now she's just not concerned with that. She says in the 80s episode, she's like, I'm tired of keeping it a secret, Vision.
Mm-hmm.
But now it seems like she's having to dance around a different kind of secret. And it's a much more traditional secret. Like the parents of the family have this issue between them, and she is trying to keep that a secret and keep the fantasy of their happiness in the air for the kids to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so she lets him walk out the door without having a fight in that moment. And I wonder how much of that is it's like she can't find a truly happy thing because now that she's got the world she wants, the husband she wants doesn't want to be there and is trying to figure out what she's doing and what she's doing wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, when Vision is crawling out of the hex and just having his head torn away and all this stuff, he is fighting his way out of that instead of talking to his wife.
Yeah. Even Hayward had some, he was like, man, he really wants to get out of there.
Yeah.
He really wants to get away from the old lady, huh?
Yeah.
The old ball and chain.
Yeah.
The old hex and chain.
The old hex and chain.
There it is. Yeah, his hero-ness is starting to break through. You can't change that about him. You can only suppress it. But in the end, all he wanted to do was help the people in the town, even if it meant him dying. I'm like, can we stop throwing our lives away? Avengers.
Right.
We don't trade lives, I thought.
That's what he said. You said it, Vision.
Yeah. So I just find that actually really fascinating now that I think about it. So he is making the decision to be willing to die to get help for these people because his wife, the love of his life before this and his love now is doing something, and he either is, I'm guessing, too powerless to stop her inside the world, but he also doesn't seem to want to just have that. I guess he's just under her control, at least to a point he's under her control. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm trying to unravel it in my head because it does seem he's out of her control enough to go and become lose the Halloween version, be regular Vision, and try to get out of the hex. But he's not out of her control enough to have a fight with her back at the house. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What does that mean?
I think that was, I don't know. I feel like that was more like a let's not fight in front of the kids kind of thing. You want us to have this. You want us to have this facade of a super happy, joyful, whatever life, and that if you want that to be maintained, then you can't fight me in front of the kids. So you just have to kind of go along with this, this little ploy that I'm doing, because on the outside it looks like I'm doing this thing for the neighborhood and being an upstanding citizen in the community. So why would you want to argue against that? And she just wants her little picturesque thing.
Yeah, it feels like those are the two possible reasons. Either he literally doesn't have the power to stand up to her in that moment, or he has a reason to hold on to that facade as well, which seems more fascinating to me if he doesn't want to hurt his kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jess says in the chat, why do we think Vision was falling apart when crawling out? Did it seem like only the vibranium parts were coming off? And I feel like we were kind of saying, I definitely didn't think he could exist outside of the bubble. And yeah, maybe the parts that she had to create or what she did to reanimate him were getting sucked back in, or the whole thing was trying to suck him back in and he's still in parts. Really? I don't know. It's very dark.
That's what one of the listeners came up with that I really liked on our live watch, our instant reaction. One of our Twitch writer inners said that like it's possible that all the pieces that are being sucked back in are the pieces that she created, and that's why he's like losing pieces, and they're all in hexagon shapes actually, and then he like falls to the ground, and that little bit of him that's laying on the ground, like she tried to rebuild him, but all of him wasn't there, and she tried to like sort of like build some of him out of her hex magic.
You know what, though? The stone didn't get sucked back in. It didn't look like that was going anywhere. And she would have definitely had to recreate that.
Okay, I'll have to look back. I thought it did. I thought that like a piece of his head disappeared almost immediately.
I think a big chunk of his head did, but I don't think the stone went anywhere. That might mean nothing, but...
Yeah, or it means everything.
But it could be everything.
Everything in the show could mean nothing or could be everything.
Yeah. Here we are again at Schrodinger's theories.
Yep. Speaking of Tim's point, one theory that I really like, I think we talked about on another episode, is the idea that when he goes to work, he's working on like rebuilding himself, or like rebuilding, like he's processing the vision.
He's doing the computations to put himself back together.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the idea of that, in that he's kind of been put in charge or been put into a little bit of ownership of his recreation, his reconstruction, because like that sort of thing has happened in the comics before, where he's like, I'm doing all of these processes to try to heal myself, and I'm linking up with this computer back on Titan to help me get to a better state and whatever. Like,
right,
it's happened before. There's precedent for it,
for sure, and
I like that idea, but I don't feel like it's that here. It feels a lot more like it feels a lot more like this will distract him enough. Let's put him over doing computations. He's a computer. He likes doing numbers.
I'm a computer. Stop all the downloading.
Yep. He turned into a weird G.I. Joe thing. He works at E-Bomb's World.
Man, it's been a long time since those. That was the internet to me in like.
Is that still a thing?
2005. I think it is still a thing, but I don't think it doesn't get much traffic since YouTube exists.
True.
Lieutenant Bongo, one of our new patrons. Welcome to the Patreon.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you.
Lieutenant Bongo says, Lieutenant Bongo in the Marvel Congo here. I want your thoughts on this theory, since by your powers combined, you are the Marvel Maniacs.
All right.
Charlie Sheen was offered up as Mephisto during your theory crafting deep dive. I have a challenge with this on the surface because there is such a stigma and a predetermined understanding of who Charlie Sheen is in the real world that I cannot suspend disbelief, and I still hear the words winning and cannot disassociate that from the image of him. But here's how I would like to see it if they did this. I think you all were onto something here. What if Charlie Sheen IRL was Mephisto? And Charlie Sheen was his cover, breaking every movie wall possible and allowing Charlie Sheen to exist. Imagine the show Jean-Claude Van Johnson, but for Marvel, and perhaps a little Deadpool fourth wall action. Thoughts? This would be amazing and would open up any stereotype or typecast actor to join the MCU, and they would be able to fall into their own campy public lives with ease. And frankly, I think this path would allow us to suspend disbelief. Your thoughts? Appreciate you doing what you do. 3,000.
Thank you, Lieutenant Bongo. And yeah, thanks for being a patron.
Why not?
Why not? What I love about this is Lieutenant Bongo took the really bad idea of Charlie Sheen being Mephisto or playing Mephisto, made it way crazier.
Yeah, like dialed that to 11.
Somehow that makes it better though. Like it makes it like somehow logically consistent to have like, oh, it's not just that Charlie Sheen's Mephisto. It's that like Charlie Sheen is Charlie Sheen and Mephisto.
It's not like, that Charlie Sheen is Mephisto. It's that Mephisto is Charlie Sheen.
Yeah. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. It's stupid and wonderful. My favorite type
Kevin
of theories.
Feige is Mephisto, confirmed.
Confirmed.
Confirmed. The thing that this makes me wonder is I don't want this because it would mean the whole MCU becomes this crazy meta fest. And I love the MCU for what it is. And I don't want it all to be that way. But what it does make me want is like more seasons of WandaVision, or like this kind of meta content to continue and spin off and do something in the future, you know?
Yeah. I see what you're saying, where like it's nice to have this thing here that's incredibly meta and self-referential and like shines a light on TV just in general, so that like it and we can all laugh, collectively at the goofiness that is TV, but then also be like super serious and exist in the world with all this other super serious stuff.
Exactly.
Where, like Armor Wars is going to happen, and the fallout from Tony Stark dying is going to be a thing. And like, Falcon and the Winter Soldier's coming up, where Steve doesn't have the shield anymore. Like, who's going to replace him? Sokovia Accords are still around. Like, all of these things are really big deals. But then, like, we can all just go laugh about how silly Malcolm in the Middle was.
Yeah. Here, the thing about meta in general, things being meta and embracing that nature of a show are kind of the opposite of suspending disbelief.
Right.
Like, they both can work. And I think that's why this idea of Charlie Sheen being Charlie Sheen is kind of fun and interesting, because it's so far out there, you're embracing the meta. But if you try to walk a line in between those two things, you kind of lose either one. You're not embracing the meta, you're not going full on crazy, but you're also not suspending disbelief so that you can be invested in the truth of the story, so that you can believe that Peter Parker is real. You know what I mean? And that, like, Iron Man is real. Like, at least in this story, I watched the last 20 minutes of Endgame yesterday, and I was just crying thinking about the beauty of the scene where Cap stands in the breach and all of Thanos' armies are falling upon him, and but he just gets up, and they make it so real. He's beat up and bloody. But if you do bring in characters like Deadpool into that moment, it completely destroys the moment. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that's kind of been my bulk on Deadpool, is that like all of these serious things, he's going to ruin it. He's going to ruin it.
Right. It's a weird thing where you have to like walk a line or compartmentalize them in such a way where like Deadpool has his movie, he comments on his stuff, but when he's gone, we have to be able to get back into the story and believe it again,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now there are times where, in the Deadpool comics, where he's being super serious with the person that's right in front of him, and he only ever makes like little asides to the audience.
Right.
Just when he gets a chance, but it's a weird line to walk with Deadpool, because like he's got all this insanity to his character.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it necessarily translates that well into the MCU. What they could do, though, I don't think that Deadpool needs to go into everything else. I think everything else needs to come to Deadpool, or rather, I think in a Deadpool movie, if they're going to put him in the MCU, the way that they show him being in the MCU is for him to be going somewhere and be like, oh, look, there's Captain America over there, flying past. Hey, Cap, he didn't see me. He's probably busy.
Well, the MCU's done this before. It does it well, and that is every time Stan Lee was on screen.
Right.
That is a meta joke. It is silly that the creator of the Marvel Comics that we all know is standing there and doing his thing and acting often in a very silly and / meta way. And that still has worked all this time. So I don't think it's impossible.
It's never been with a character that is like essential to the story, though. Like it's a thing where he pops up and then it's just like a throwaway thing.
Right.
Like, oh, that was fun. Let's all be meta together.
Absolutely.
And now we're back in it.
So I'm saying that I think that's a possibility that Deadpool could pull that off. Now, taking Deadpool and putting him in like the Avengers movie, where you have to like have him as a character experiencing the big moment, like that's hard to do. And I believe that there's a director and a writer out there who could pull it off, but that's tough. Let's turn to the chat and bring Ashley on screen here. Are you ready, Ashley?
I'm ready.
Let's bring Ashley onto the screen.
Are you picking your nose?
Yeah.
She's like very aware of her hands.
Yeah. Maybe I'm Mephisto today.
All right, so producer Ashley, what is the chat talking about in response to all these feedback things?
Okay, I have a lot, and I'm going to do my best. Okay, reading.
I like it.
I believe in
We
you.
believe in you.
All right. Miss Tarski says, okay, I know this is a stretch, but hear me out. Wanda is strong, like ridiculously strong. More now than ever. My theory, she has manifested the abilities of the Infinity Stones. How did I come to this crazy idea? Reality Stone, the Hex Time Stone, rewinding time in episode 2. Mind Stone, controlling will of Westview Citizen Space Stone, plucking Pietro from whatever he was. Soul Stone, animating the dead and bringing the twins' Power Stone, amplifies the other powers. That's a good point.
I like it. It definitely ties in with her powers. My only beef with the idea is that I think they're going to leave the Infinity Stones out of this for a little while. Except,
yeah, I mean, her power comes from them.
Her power comes from the Infinity Stones for sure. So like, it's inextricably linked, but also I think they're not going to like. I don't think it's going to be as. We had a couple other feedbacks about that. Where like. I may have one I can pull up right here. Somebody said they think that the commercials have represented the Infinity Stones. The commercial number 1 was the Mind Stone, which I don't fully get. Commercial number 2 was the Time Stone, which that's the watch. Makes sense.
Commercial number 1 was the Mind Stone on Vision's forehead because of the toaster. The blinking red light.
Okay. Then number 3 is the Reality Stone, which was that the Tahiti looking place.
Yeah. Well, she's in the having a tubby.
Having a tubby.
Yeah. Didn't they say escape your reality?
Oh, they do say escape your reality.
Something very similar.
Interesting.
Well, they said escape your reality, but then the Hydra Soak box was a blue cube.
Yeah, like the Space Stone.
Like the Tesseract.
Oh, and it was also like about like the lady was on vacation, so I guess you could work that
going
space
somewhere.
Stone.
Yeah.
Going somewhere. Then commercial number 4, she says Reality Stone. I'm trying to think what commercial number 4 was.
It was the red liquid.
That was the Lagos one.
Reality Stone, that is red. That does work.
The red juice.
The red juice everywhere. Reality Stone. Also, I had listened to watched some other YouTube video about this, and I hadn't heard it because I hadn't just listened to it. But if you listen to the audio of that commercial, there's like when she's cleaning up and they're talking about some messes you can't undo or something like that. Just like talking about Lagos or whatever. And
even the ones that you didn't mean to make.
Right. Yeah, that's my favorite line.
He pushes the stuff off the counter and it just sounds like dripping blood if you listen to it. It's like, it's really gross. It's really super gross if you just listen. And he says the commercial number 5, which I believe is the boy on the island, would be the Soul Stone. So that was some from Allison. Thank you, Allison, for sending that in. I just thought that so similarly, we got a few things like that like ties the stones to all this stuff, which it could be, but I have a feeling they're going to like distance from the stones. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe they did it on purpose that it means everything. It's her traumas and the stones and everything. Everybody's right. Everybody gets a car.
Yeah. All theories are correct and false.
Okay, this has a little bit to do with it. Rowan22 says, since Wanda obtained her powers from the Mind Stone, was seen to control the stone in Civil War, and since Vision needs the same stone to live, could Wanda be acting as a battery to temporarily power Vision?
You know, that's a solid theory, and that tracks with he has to stay inside the hex.
Yeah.
Well, it also tracks with the idea that he's going to work and like getting himself, like repairing himself or whatever. Like if like he's repairing himself in a way that maybe gets him to be able to power himself again, maybe she's holding him together in the meantime while he tries to heal.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Just looking back at the commercial in episode 3, now in color, it says, escape to a world all your own, where your problems float away. And then this is when you want to get away, but you don't want to go anywhere. Hydra Soak, find the goddess within.
Give me some of that.
I'm convinced.
Okay.
And then it's a blue cube-shaped box.
That does seem like Space Stone to me.
Yeah.
Especially like travel somewhere without going anywhere, like being able to use the Space Stone to go anywhere. I don't know.
To just kind of appear somewhere else.
Yeah, that seems legit. I like it.
Yep. Plus, during the World War II, when Hydra had the Tesseract and were using that for making weapons,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's Hydra. It's everything. We're all right. It's everything.
Hydra's everything.
Everybody's right. Everybody gets cookie.
right.
It was made in the USA. That's weird.
Is that what it says?
Yeah, it says made in the USA.
Well, they were hiding in S.H.I.E.L.D. for so long.
Truth.
Yep.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry.
This Dad Does Twitch says, where is Dottie? Do y'all think she is a major player in WandaVision? Mephisto.
Yes.
She seems so important.
Nightmare.
She seems so important, but it was just within the world, I think. They just made her such a big deal. We haven't seen her since.
You know what? That creepy thing had really skinny legs. Like, it did look like a woman, and Dottie's super skinny. That creepy, hooded, cloaked, eyes wide shut thing.
So Dottie's just around the neighborhood watching
Spying,
her.
yeah. She's like, I used to run this town, god damn it.
Because he does say people in the Pietro says that you didn't move their personalities off too far from what they were before. So it is possible that Dottie was like kind of the same sort of character in the real world as she was in that garden party.
Yeah.
Like she was like a leader in the town or whatever, and now she's like sad that Wanda has come and taken her place. The whole Dottie thing, like, it seems so important at the time, so much to speculate about, and it was so much fun. But now we haven't seen her in 5 episodes. I just don't know if it matters anymore.
Right.
We saw her in episode 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said,
so.
do these earrings make me look fat? And her husband's like, oh, thank God.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was good. I forgot about
Power
that.
went out.
That was in the 70s episode.
Yep.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, thank God. I was like, I feel you, brother.
Such a good sitcom
Let me
joke.
read Zombie Prez's question because he's leaving to go get a puppy.
What?
Okay.
Please send puppy pictures so we can put them on the live stream.
Okay, so Zombie for Prez says, Wanda is definitely following the alchemy first law of equivalent exchange. To obtain something of equal value must be lost. Clothes are made from the Kevlar vest. Vision's made from vibranium. Means he was made of his corpse for sure. For new people like Evan Peters, perhaps she has run out of resources, so she's ripping stuff through the multiverse to fit the narrative.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. It's very sciencey in a way that, like, matter cannot be created or destroyed. So she's using it. I like it.
Yeah.
And that I know that alchemy is like, based in history, and Sir Isaac Newton was a fairly well-known alchemist. But I keep thinking about Full Metal Alchemist, the anime, where like in every episode they go through the first law of alchemy is the equivalent exchange law.
Right.
And I can't separate that from my brain about it. Sorry.
All right. Well, any other chat things, Ash, when you get through
I
a
have
few?
about 3 more.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. Mama Hale says they were laying the Nightmare references on thick in this episode. Are they purposely laying in Nightmare and Mephisto references for as much of a misdirect as possible? They said Nightmare twice in that episode, I think.
Yeah. And I want to say that's the character that they said that that character you were talking about was a reference to. That creepy ghost-like looking dude. Or the Eyes Wide Shut. Yeah, the Eyes Wide Shut character or whatever. Like I think they said, people have said that is something, reminds them of something from comics with Nightmare, but I don't know him from
that
comics
looks
at all.
like something out of my nightmares.
The answer is we don't know, and it just seems like they're either laying in all the references and making it really obvious what they're doing to anyone paying attention. But the thing is, like, to anyone that doesn't know who Mephisto is at all these references might be going right over their head. You know what I mean? So like maybe it is that simple, or maybe they're misdirecting all us geeks and making us think something's going on that's not at all.
or maybe they're doing all of this for us, and we're all just collectively going to be extremely right. And we're all just going to high five each other like, yeah, we knew it was Mephisto the whole time.
You know what? I just remembered that little feedback that I had. So let me put on my Mephisto hat when I read this.
Okay.
For you. Remember the music thing? Okay. You'll like this, Matt. So a music creator friend of mine sent me this the other day.
Yes.
I know.
God, sorry. You sent me that in text, and I was like, what is she? Oh, yes, the music thing.
You can't see my horns. Okay. So he said, in every theme song on WandaVision, there's an interval called a tritone. Basically, it makes a creepy sound. Most easy example is the note jump in the Simpsons theme song, The to Simp. It was not used in old sitcoms because creepy. It's in all of them. It's in the first episode at the end with the tag Da to Viz. It's in the second one in the piano, and it is very prominent in the episode 6 in the guitar. Also, check out those lyrics. They are freaky. Why is this interesting? Because the tritone is also called the devil's interval.
Devil's music,
Gotta be Mephisto.
Yep, that is very much... that is in classical music, they called it devil's music because they would never allow that tone in any of the ancient church music. Would they didn't allow that because
or in the old sitcoms.
Yeah. Well, and it's just not. It's very abrasive sounding when done poorly or when played together. But you can do the jumps, and they've done a good job of making them sound good. But yeah, that's interesting. Yep. I like it. I like it.
WandaVision. Yep.
Damon.
Just like
and then Pietro doing this. Yeah. Himself, and he's making devil horns. I could do this all day.
All right, Cap.
Ooh, call me Cap again.
Do it slower.
Katie Rose Button says, I'm doubling down on my theory that Wanda is attempting to rebuild the Mind Stone. That's why it looked real when Wanda was leaving the Hex, but it wasn't the real thing, and that's part of why he couldn't leave. I also think that something or someone else started the weird bubble, but Wanda ended up gaining control of it along the way. I think that she's not our big bad for the show, but maybe just accidentally a little bad oopsie. Me too. That's what I think.
A little bad oopsie.
Me too.
How are you going to look away from Shangri-La? Pietro is like all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible. She came along. We've talked about the idea that maybe the town made a deal with someone that is allowing them to have this hex to create for the children.
For the children.
And she got there and realized she could use it to get Viz back. And now she's manipulating it more and more as she attains her powers. She also has mind control powers before all this. So maybe if she has mind control powers, maybe she can manifest things by making everyone else wish together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's good. And then the last one was kind of for me. Old Sauce says, please demand some Magneto talk. Maybe Matt and Jeff can come up with their best theory as to how we get Magneto. I will sell my first 2 children for this.
Wait, for the talk or for Magneto? Because I feel like you don't need to sell children just to get us to talk about it.
Yeah. I would love that Michael Fassbender's Magneto finds out after Peter's taken from their universe, that Peter's just gone. And he finds out from Storm or whoever else knew, he was your actual son. You do have family left. And he comes to get him.
Yeah, man.
That's my dream.
What a freaking missed opportunity in Apocalypse. The fact that he doesn't have family. That's the whole story is he's lost, spoiler alert, he's lost his family. So the whole story is that he's bereft and missing his family, and then he never connects with Quicksilver. I mean, what the hell? If that could have been the way that he was broken out of the Apocalypse's trance or whatever. If he found out he actually did have a son and he was needed by his son, and his Apocalypse is killing his son, and why? Yeah. This movie has so many missed opportunities.
Dad.
Yeah.
That was entirely covered in the first arc of
4M
of Monday Morning Movie Medics.
Monday Morning Movie Medics. Check it out, everybody. Good podcast. As for how to bring Magneto in, I think Ashley is exactly right. I think we're poised for it. If this is the actual Quicksilver from the other universe, then why not? Why not?
Yeah, door's open.
The door is open. She's ripped the door open. The veil is thin. It's time to bring
Halloween.
people through this, other people through this thing. And I'm less sure of that now because it does seem like this Pietro is pretty self-aware and he thinks he's the Pietro from this universe. You know what I mean? So I am less sure of that after this episode, but it's still possible.
Something that Julie brought up, again, Julie, my wife, something that Julie brought up is that my wife, very nice. Something that she brought up is there were no ending credits, like for the WandaVision within the WandaVision. Like there were no inner show credits in this episode. So there may be potential to revisit Halloween night and immediately pick up where we left off. Right. In episode 7.
Right. Especially with all the sword agents becoming clowns and the circus and all this stuff. Actually, we talked about it earlier, the idea that Wanda might go backwards and tell her this story from her perspective. What if that is the next episode and that's why we don't get the end? Just like we didn't...
just like with 4.
Yeah, just like with episode 4.
Yeah.
They go in and tell the ending. Did we get a ending for episode 3? I'm trying to remember how
credits?
episode 3 ended.
Yeah.
Okay. So we did get credits, but still they continued and they finished episode 3 and we kind of got a different perspective on it. I could see that being the case for Wanda.
I like it.
We get Wanda's perspective on this whole situation. And then this is actually, you know, we've talked about tracks as our proto episode of Agents of
tracks
S.H.I.E.L.D.
being that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode from season 1.
Yeah, they tell the non-linear story and they tell from one character's perspective to another character's perspective to another character's perspective. That's so far that is what this is, and we could get more of that with Wanda. But that being said, if that's the case, it's Halloween night. The veil between worlds is thin. It's time, and she's already broken the door open, and this would be the time to bring forth some Magneto action. I think that's it, man.
Now is the time.
Escargot
Witching
brings
hour
up
is upon us.
a good point that I was thinking about too, and it's how does Pietro know that Vision is dead? Like how would his character, not character, but his character in the show playing Pietro wouldn't know that? Yeah,
we talked about that on Friday. The fact that he knows some things from Pietro's life and some things from Wanda that are clearly inputted from Wanda. So like he is not just Pietro. Whatever he is, he's not just Pietro.
Yep. He's something else.
Or he's a complete false thing that Wanda made up. Who knows?
I want to talk to my brother. He has these memories now.
All right, we're going to take a quick break for an ad break. We have waited too long to do that. So we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Right after this ad, we have no control over. And we're back.
And we're back.
That was pretty, guys.
That's so great. Pretty. I think that was a tritone, actually. Devil's music.
Do not invoke him.
Do not invoke his name.
This next feedback was pretty great. Brad Ekman says, found an interesting tidbit reading some comics. It's a bio of Spider-Ham and makes mention of Mephistork.
Oh, what?
Right?
What?
After a quick Goog, couldn't find anything concrete about it, but that it was interesting, considering some theories about Mephisto being involved / the stork. Could be nothing, but figured I'd throw it out there.
Actually, we got it. Yeah. We got it. We're there.
Mephisto confirmed. Okay.
I'm looking it up right now.
The marital status in this picture that is shown here.
Yeah, it's just a bio, and it says marital status single.
Thanks a lot, Mephisto. Because of one more day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or one more hay?
In one more hay, probably. In his world, it's not Mephisto, it's Mephistork, but it's just this very small reference. I don't even think it's a real comic. It's just a reference to the fact that Spider-Man had the One More Day storyline, and so they say, thanks a lot, Mephistork, but that is very funny since we just got done talking about how Mephisto was the stork. So really good. I like that. Thank you. Thanks for sitting that in, Brad. That's super funny.
So good.
He was like, I tried to find stuff online. I was like, I don't think you can find anything online because I think that's all there is. I think it's a throwaway joke, but it is very serendipitous that it ties to our theory from episode 3.
Nope.
Nope.
Andre Sparks says, anyone think Ultron could make a return? The fascination with Vision has me suspicious. And wait for it. What if Hayward is working for him? Ultron's revenge. Keep up the great work, guys.
I don't know that Hayward would want to be working for Ultron, but
He seems like he hates superpowered people.
Right.
Or he does not like them aside from all his other problems.
yeah, well, here's my idea on it is that what if Hayward is approaching the Ultron solution, but from a different mental perspective than where Tony was? Like, the snap happened, everybody went away, the blip, whatever. Everybody went away for 5 years, and it was hell to keep the lights on, right? And Hayward would be the kind of guy that's like, all right, we need to put protocols in place, or we need to get something in place to where this kind of shit never happens again. What do we have that we might be able to research or, do some work on to, get to the point where we're able to fight this kind of fight? How do we arm as many people with this type of power as we possibly can? Well, the Vision's body's right over there. Well, let's reverse engineer that and see what we can come up with. And then, somebody who's doing the research finds whatever protocol buried deep in there and starts rebuilding, and then oops, Ultron again. Because that's how it's happened in the comics.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, maybe he's not exactly working for Ultron, but maybe he has been manipulated by Ultron, or he maybe is working with Ultron because he thinks Ultron has their best interests at heart. It would tie in perfectly with the two characters that were introduced in Age of Ultron. Also, I have always had the theory that when Vision kills the last Ultron bot, he has that conversation in the woods and he says, I never want to destroy you. You are life. I have no desire to destroy you, but you're doing this thing that has to be stopped, right? And then this yellow light appears, and then we never hear from Ultron again. I've always thought that very well could have been
absorbed him.
Yeah, Vision like absorbing Ultron's consciousness, or downloading him and sequestering him somewhere in his own brain or in the Mind Stone or whatever.
Yeah, he did say he didn't want to destroy him, so.
Yeah.
Superbot makes Superbot.
Superbot makes Superbot.
And do we think that the Project Cataract, I thought maybe that was their like pet name for Vision, or what they were doing with him.
Yeah, because his eyes were completely whited out.
Completely white, yeah.
Wait,
Like,
Project
can't see
Cataract,
anything.
what is that?
That was
That was
where
what was
Darcy
on
found
this-
the files.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was
Cataract.
like that was the stage name, or the production name for his super villainous project.
Okay, for the project where he's building.
You shall know me as Project Cataract.
Project.
Cataract, by its very nature, is something that
It's a white film.
Right, and it keeps people from seeing. It stops the vision, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Like, I mean, like, I
Yes.
think there's definitely something there with like Vision and Cataract,
Yeah.
and all, or at least like putting up a veil of secrecy. And she found that where? I'm sorry, I missed this.
It was
That
on
was-
the computer screen.
Yeah, when she hacked into Hayward's files, Cataract, like Project Cataract, is where they were storing the files on what they were doing with Vision, and that's what she emailed to Jimmy Woo.
Okay, so what is a cataract? So now what I need is an optometrist. We had
I'm sure we got one.
Yeah, we had a bee expert a couple weeks ago. I need an optometrist to tell me how cataracts could relate to the Vision storyline. So I'm putting a call out. Any optometrists in the audience, let us
Do it.
know. Oh,
Yeah.
please, that's so good. Matt Roberts says, just watched again and noticed when Wanda opens the door on Pietro and we cut to the command tent to Darcy, Sorry, Dr. Darcy. The siren is blaring that says there is a breach in the energy field. Is this showing Pietro breached in? Was this him coming into the field through a multiverse means, or is something breaching out? What does this mean, Matt Roberts?
That if it's something breaching in, and like if it is Quicksilver, like first thought is something like super gross in that she like reached out with her subconscious and then was just like, give me that corpse, and just like dragged Pietro's corpse from wherever, like
I don't
unearthed
think we
him and
need
brought
any more dark corpse action in this moment. I think because especially since it's a different Pietro that shows up.
He looks different. She reskinned him.
Yeah, he didn't have enough bullet holes. And I was trying to check, like, I know they specifically showed the bullet hitting his arm in the opening sequence. And I meant to look to see if he had the scratch on his arm when he was when he's on Night of the Living Dead, which was the movie that was playing in the background, which I really liked.
Nice. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
And I love Night of the Living Dead.
Because now all I do is look at what's playing, what's on the, the marquee.
Yeah. We can't just have fun watching a thing anymore.
Mm-mm.
I count on you guys to look that stuff up for me. I just enjoy the show personally.
That's what my first watch is for.
Yeah, first watch is for just sitting enjoying.
Yeah. And then I let myself sit with it for a day, and then Sunday I rewatch it and I'm like, pause, stop while Ken's working.
Nice.
Yep.
I love it.
I'm so busy editing that I don't really have time to do that right now. I did rewatch it today, but I rewatched it while I was collecting feedback, so I didn't really get to like examine. I need to do that more because I do love it. I love doing that. And I mostly get to theory craft here. I don't really get to do it while I'm just like staring at the screen and like pause, freeze, enhance.
Yeah.
Enhance.
Need to do that more.
Eskergit does, he does have that tattoo of mom on his arm, but that is his real tattoo. They might have left it uncovered, which they usually don't do in movies for a fun little Easter egg or reason, because it says mom.
Yeah.
But,
you're talking to someone in the chat who asked about the thing.
I can't read that. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Eskergit.
Asked about there's a tattoo on Quicksilver's arm, but apparently it's a real tattoo.
Mm-hmm. But them choosing to not cover it up.
Yeah, for sure.
That says something. There are no coincidences in the Marvel Universe.
All right. I guess it's Whoopi Goldberg is Magneto, and she's mom.
I can't get behind that anymore now that there's a chance that it could be Fassbender. I'm off the Whoopi train.
I still need Whoopi Goldberg as Professor X.
I know, but
That's
I'm
fine.
just saying, like, he has a mom tattoo. I was just trying to make a reference, everybody, to our previous theories about Whoopi Goldberg being Professor X.
No, it stands for Multiverse of Madness. Duh.
All right.
He's going to speed through that movie, too.
Reco Jet says, I'm totally sold that Quicksilver is actually Mephisto.
Yes.
Sigh, he says.
Choo, choo, choo,
Choo choo.
Reco Jet
bud.
says, all right.
Mephisto train.
All right. I should have let Jeff read this one. I can't make it through because they're too celebrating over there.
Sorry.
Anyway, Reco says, does not say choo-choo aboard the train. He says sigh. So he is not happy about it.
Yeah, it's when the train pulls into the station. It's like,
You swallow that Mephisto drink. Yep.
Assuming this is true, what do we think that tells us, if anything, about the Fox X-Men verse? Like, does Evan Peters' face, even if he's not the real Quicksilver, confirm anything about the Fox verse?
I think it could be both of those things in that Mephisto is a multiversal demon, right? Like that's kind of that's his shtick, that's his backstory. Because he's a multiversal demon, can see all of the different verses in the multiverse, right? And so he knows that one over there in the Fox verse exists as Quicksilver. That is a version of Quicksilver. Well, let me just hop on over here just to mess with her and like start poking at her and kind of, jabbing holes in her little happy world here by being a different version of Quicksilver, but acting like I am the one that she knows, but like screwing with her with the face. Like it's a classic Mephisto thing.
Such a classic Mephisto trope.
All right. He asked a very non-Mephisto related question. Let's
It's the way you start it. You got to watch how you start it.
He's saying he's on board with the Mephisto theory, but here's the thing about that's not related. Like, what does it mean for the future of the Foxverse to have Evan Peters in the show?
I mean, it means that it could exist simultaneously, you know? And it could even be like, because the show is super meta, it's Mephisto looking at this other TV thing, right? He's watching this other show reverse.
So now you're going for a meta thing where this is not Quicksilver. This is a representation of Quicksilver brought forth by someone from our universe looking at the Fox X-Men movies.
Yes.
And that person, you have to make that person Mephisto in your theory. So like you went so far into this meta thing where, and then it's still Mephisto though.
Mephisto's watching
But
us,
he's the
Matt.
only one who could do it. Yeah.
He's watching us, Matt.
Okay, all right. Mephisto's
The
watching
autonomy
everybody.
of it all.
I just don't even know anymore, guys. I think you've all broken me.
He literally says he's there to cause her grief.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I agree
demons
about that.
do.
Or,
Yeah.
no, see, I don't agree with that. You say like demons do. I say like someone who is helping her process trauma.
Or like older brothers do.
Kind of. Then why would you say something about her dead husband immediately after that to set her off? And then it's
Because
like he says
she's
that.
in denial.
Because he shoots off at the mouth like that. And
He said that, and then suddenly she could take her powers up to 100. He set
she
her
was
off.
pissed.
He could have been trying to break through this exterior that she's put up because she's trying to make her acknowledge the reality of the situation.
Tough love.
Not in front of the kids.
She's going through the stages of grief, and the first one is denial, and she is denying that this all happened, and then this character comes into her life and is like, hey, yeah, he's dead. You know that, right? And like you need to acknowledge the truth of the situation.
He's saying some cryptic stuff too, though. I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah, where's your accent?
Well, he doesn't even know what's going on. He says it's all real confusing. It's all real fuzzy. Like whatever's going on, I'm not sure.
When he called them demon spawn, when he turned back, he was almost like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. And he's like, hey, change the subject.
Hey there, sis.
A lot of faces.
There are a lot of faces, but I can't tell if it's walking this line in a beautiful way. I love it. I love that it's allowing us to theorize about Mephisto all day if we want to, but also still believe that this could just be a small story about Wanda grieving.
Right. It could be all of these things.
It could be all of these things.
Zach1983 says, at MCU Cast, hey guys, quick question. What if WandaVision ends with Lorna and Eric being brought over to establish a literal House of M?
I'd be so happy.
That would be so good.
We would be excited.
That would be so good. The lady who played Lorna in, oh God, what was that? The Gifted? I liked her as Lorna. I thought that she was a bit better than everybody else in the show. And was like kind of working below her potential there. Because the show was kind of meh, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never did see it.
It's all right. It was all right. Anyway.
Yeah, I love this idea. And the thing is, like, the House of M storyline is this storyline that you wake up in the world of the House of M, like, and then they have to get back to their normal universe. And then at the end of that, there's no more mutants, and then there's only 100 mutants left. Like, that's the storyline, right? What if this event creates the multiverse, or like breaks open the multiverse, brings the idea of mutants into this verse, and then this entire phase, if we're calling it that, could be like them trying to put the world back the way it was. And then at the end, when they do solve it, they could limit the number of mutants back down, and then we have this like clean way of having mutants into the story without completely disrupting the MCU, you know? If there's only 100 and what was it in comics, 160?
It was like 197 or something like that, 198.
Right. So you could see you could see them doing this, creates an offshoot universe, sends the MCU into this like mutant-filled universe, or whatever filled, mutant filled. Maybe she'll bring people over maybe it will actually be Lorna from that show you mentioned, The Gifted or whatever. Yeah.
Emma Dumont is that actress.
It would break my freaking brain if they did something with like, they don't bring in Deadpool. That wouldn't be good. Not yet. But they bring in like someone who's been in the Deadpool movies, like TJ Miller's tending bar in the next episode.
That would be it. That would be the one.
Yeah.
That's how they break us.
Vermilion One says something that's going to break you. Danny Rand will turn up as Iron Mephisto. Wouldn't you love that, Matt?
Iron Mephisto. I like it. I like it a lot. I like it for the pun nature, if nothing else.
Wow.
Baksh.
I think we got to the end of it. I think that's the end of it.
Yeah, did we reach the end of theorizing with
I
Iron
think that's
Mephisto?
the end of Mephisto theorizing. Like we got there.
Oh, thank you so much. Who was that?
Vermilion One.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Vermilion One. You finally shut Jeff down.
All right. Time to start working on my Doctor Doom theories.
You know I love you, Jeff. I don't want you to shut down. I like that you're so excited about Mephisto, but
Oh, yeah, I'm not going to let this train stop.
I am not as excited. So it's my role to be here and be like, "Whoa."
Yeah, you're the straight man.
Demons, devils. If they didn't say if they didn't say that Mom was going to be the MCU's first horror movie, I wouldn't be doubling down so hard on the Mephisto.
No, I do love the idea. I love the idea that like Mephisto or something like him,
or Nightmare.
some big bad shows up in the last reel of this, a la Thanos at the end of Avengers, and then we get like him pulling the strings for the next few movies, or this is just a prelude to all of the events of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and we get like just a big horror fest in Multiverse of Madness. That sounds like a great time, but I do want this story to wrap up in like a satisfying way within itself, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know if it will. We have 3 episodes left.
Yep. God, we only have 3 episodes left.
It's not enough. Yeah.
Oh, there's so much story that needs to be told.
I know,
Good thing they're going to be like an hour long.
Possibly. Allegedly.
Looks like Mark from Twitter says, Loki now working for the Time Variance Authority as the big cameo in the finale of WandaVision? Question mark.
Honestly, like outside of the Loki show, I think that I'm okay with being done with Loki and the Infinity Stones. Like they've kind of run their course. I think we're okay without having to have Loki be like, oh, secret big bad, because then we're redoing phase 1, you know?
Right.
We're doing all the same shit over again. Like, give us the new things. Like, give me Mephisto, give me Nightmare, give me. Like, I want to see Norman Osborn.
Especially if we see the same thing we saw in the last book. Like, we just talked about the idea that like Mephisto or someone like him showing up at the last reel. If it turned out Loki was that character and he was working for the bigger character, it really would be like, I would do the exact same thing again. But no,
I would be so pissed off.
If he showed up in some form or like as a secret, like, or hey, say a character showed up in this that we never see who it is, right? And they help the timeline get fixed, right? At the end of the story. And then it's like a mystery who that is. And then we find out in Loki, it's like one of his first missions. That could be pretty badass.
Oh, yeah.
Or like one of his missions ends up being to fix this timeline. That could be pretty neat.
Yeah. At least pass through, maybe.
Yeah, I definitely am not saying like he has to play a big role or that it would have to play a big role on his show, but I could see how they can make that work. Could be fun.
Yeah.
Could be fun. Jack Brincho says, instead of taking what we know and looking forward, which is all we do on this show, let's see what we know and work backwards. Interesting. So this all ends with Wanda being in Doctor Strange 2 because she creates a multiverse scenario, right? Question mark. I would say that's a supposition. This is me breaking in. That's a supposition. We're not sure of that. We're not sure of that.
Yeah,
we know that she's in
uncertain
Doctor
if
Strange.
that's the result.
But he says, so if we take the comics and a bit of direction the show is going, What would create a freak out that would make a multiverse of madness type problem? Vision's died before, so has Pietro. So their deaths, again, aren't going to do it. But she has 2 kids now. Having them taken away from her would do it. I think the show is building toward a climax with her kids. What if the kids are a part of the Hex and not actually real? And when she finds out, she tries to create a multiverse to make them real or extend the Hex radius to the whole planet. This would easily bring Doctor Strange into play to fix the issues.
So there was an interesting thing in a crossover comic that I read that came out in, I think it was the 2000s. It was JLA Avengers, which was like one of the few times that Marvel and DC have actually gotten together to make comics that were like
Crossover comics, okay.
Using the whole of both teams. Yeah, it was 2003 September through March 2004. Anyway, what happened with the Avengers in that's making me think of this is that they got to a point that was like kind of a nexus between all versions of reality, all of the multiverse, and they were seeing images of a bunch of different versions of themselves. And there was one instance in a timeline where like Wanda and the kids and like they actually had children, and Wanda saw that, and Vision, I think, was there with her. Like they both saw that, and she was like, oh my God, we actually had kids, like shocked that happened. But also like I think there were a few other things where like somebody had died and maybe it was Wanda's fault or, something along those lines. And like, they were all just apologizing to each other. And that's the first thing that reminds me of when like multiverse, like going through a multiverse to find a version of reality where the kids actually exist so that you can extract them from that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The thing that stood out to me in this is the idea that she would try to extend the Hex to cover the entire world.
Right.
Because I do feel structurally like that makes a lot of sense from like the TV show to do that. Like the fact that she did it at the beginning of the story in this way, and then like it shows that that's a possibility. And this is because Vision's dying, right? Vision's dying, so she expands the Hex. What if she is losing her children in some way and she like powers up even more? It's like this, it would be this episode established that she can do that. Then what if she does it in a much bigger way? And that's what the final battle is, possibly, is like her friends, the Avengers, Doctor Strange, Magneto, whoever it needs to be, are like having a fight over the like which universe that the world is going to exist in. Sounds interesting to me. I just like that. I like that. I like the idea that structurally for the show, I think that is very likely going to happen. Not necessarily that she will be able to cover the whole world, but that she will continue to expand her Hex after this.
Yeah, like so that doesn't get solved in this series.
Or it does, or it's a
beyond.
Big battle, and then that's how it ends. They have a big battle and win, or they have a big battle and lose, and Wanda takes over the whole world, and then we get House of M for the rest of the like whatever, or some version.
Oh, so what if I like this idea of like she keeps expanding it, and like that's part of the the craziness. Like, so what if she expands the bubble, the weird bubble, the Hex. We'll just call it the Hex because that's what they call it in the show. So if she expands the Hex and first envelops New York, and that's why Spidey is next, and
she is in New Jersey.
Right, because she's in New Jersey, and New York would be easy to hit next, and that gets Spidey, and then J. Jonah Jameson is on the prompter in Times Square, and he's like, "What the shit?" Like, and that's he doesn't even realize, but that's the thing, and then a supposition for this would have to be that, well, Doctor Strange would also get engulfed because Bleecker Street is in New York. But if he doesn't necessarily have to be there, because there's like an interdimensional location where they had the Eye of Agamotto in between the sanctums. So what if he's there when the hex gets expanded, and like he opens the door to the New York or the Hong Kong or whatever other sanctums, and it's just like, what? This doesn't look right. This looks like something else. This is weird. And then has to try to investigate what's going on, and that, takes him into that multiverse of madness.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a thought too. There's been a lot of supposition that, like, especially with Monica getting her powers possibly by entering and exiting the hex, and then there's been some supposition there's all kinds of people talking about how this is going to create the X-Men, right? So, like, what if this does excite the X gene within this community, and there's like a small number, let's say like 15 people are mutants after this event, right? Well, what if then they take a page from the Inhumans, and then someone tries to bombard the planet with the CMBR, cosmic background, CBMR, whatever it is.
It's
whatever you're into.
Yeah, whatever you're into.
Airbnb.
They spread the Airbnb dust all over the world, and it's the Big Bang. The Big Bang dust creates, excites that X gene. I just thought it was interesting, like the idea of combining that Inhuman storyline where someone intentionally creates a lot of Inhumans. If they realize here how to excite the X gene, and then someone wants to create more of them, and then they bombard the whole world with that same radiation and intentionally create the mutants.
That's. I don't know that I like that. Well, it's not. I mean, it's fine. It's not perfect. That just kind of that takes away the uniqueness between Inhumans and mutants. Like, mutants is supposed to be like the natural evolution of humanity. Inhumans is like they were created in this way, like they were generated to be like this and activated on a whim if need be. And mutants are just kind of an accident. So, that draws away from that distinction. And especially if you're exciting the X gene, they are just, at that point, they're just Inhumans.
I agree. But I also think that we had a really bad launch of the Inhumans, and it would be possible for them to take from the Inhuman storyline things that they want to take, and storylines and characters that they want to bring over. I would not put it past them, as much as I think she should be an Inhuman because I like her from the game. It would not surprise me if Kamala Khan was a mutant in this universe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because that's just they might need to collapse those down because they don't want to deal with the repercussions of their past Inhuman usage. Of course, they could just act like all that didn't happen. And this
that was in a different part of the multiverse and was bad.
Yeah.
We don't go there. We must never go there, Simba.
It's a bad part of the multiverse.
Yep.
Everything the light touches. Everything the Feige touches.
Everything the Feige touches. That is your domain.
That is the MCU's domain.
I like it. Daydream Coles says, I'm currently listening to the WandaVision episode 6 Instant Take, and my first thought about the commercial was that the kid kind of resembled Wiccan. And I thought that him not being able to get into the yogurt was some grim foreshadowing that he wasn't going to survive this show. That would also give Tommy a pretty hefty sense of grief, identical to Wanda losing her twin.
Ooh.
I think it's a really good call, except if one of the twins dies based on that commercial, I feel like it's going to be the Speedy one, because the whole thing is like, well, the whole commercial is like, you can't open this because you don't have magic. That's if we're going to base one of the kids is going to die on that commercial, I feel like the kid that's going to die is the one without magic.
Well, I think that the one without powers is the one to die, quote unquote, I don't
know. It's called Yo Magic.
It's Yo Magic, and if you can't access Yo Magic, you're gonna die. That's what I took from it.
I hear that.
It's a mean,
And I honestly,
shark.
I think that shark is...
Say it.
Okay, I'll say it, only because Ashley told
Say
me
it.
to. Well, no, that shark could represent somebody giving her powers.
Yeah,
Way back in the
giving
day.
her.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, like somebody giving her an offer.
Right. I offer you this power to survive. It's up to you to access it. If you can't access it, then you're going to die.
Yeah, and it wasn't a dolphin or a fish, it was a shark.
It was a shark.
Yeah.
It's a water animal. It could also represent Hydra.
Is that what we
Yeah.
call them?
It's also known as a shark.
Freaking laser beams.
You give this animal, or sorry, now I'm stuck on the animal of the thing.
Water animal. Can we just go back to that for a second?
Well, water animal, why? It's just a water animal.
That's so funny.
I was going for Hydra. I was trying to make a Hydra reference.
Yeah, it's a sea creature.
It's a sea creature. Hydra, water.
Sharks with laser beams.
We have, what's the disgruntled sea bass or whatever? They're very ill-tempered.
Sea bass.
Oh, and she kept saying red herring, and there's a dead fish bone on the island next to that kid.
And they were given a dead fish at the beginning of the episode. There's a lot of dead fish in this episode. Okay, my point is, Yo Magic, he's given the kid on the island is given this yogurt, is not able to open it, possibly because he doesn't have magic. And that reminds me of the experiments done on the people in Sokovia, trying to find someone that could withstand the power of the Mind Stone to get their powers. So they do all these experiments. They said the twins were the only two to survive. They were the only ones with the magic, possibly. So could the magic that they have that allowed them to survive, could that be the X gene, which we've talked about many times? But if that's the case, then that could be what that represents. Like, here's this thing. Oh, you don't have the ability to access Yo Magic. You die. All the other experimental subjects died.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am with that commercial, because it was like
Dark.
It was really dark, and it was one of the weird ones, like it was weirder than the rest of them.
I don't know. They're all real strange. It was very 90s.
They're all real strange, but like that particular commercial didn't really have like that's obviously, that's related to Vision because face in the toaster. That's obviously Hydra because the watch, they said the word Strucker or the name Strucker. Like, that's obviously, the Lagos incident or Lagos incident.
What if it's Hydra tempting them with to get the powers? And Pietro died. She's alive, so maybe that was supposed to represent Pietro and them, getting their powers from Hydra. I don't know where I'm going with this. I just had a thought.
It could have been. It very well could have been.
If we're going with her traumas, it could have been them like, oh, you're starving, or were they starving? No. They were.
I mean, they looked real bad.
In Sokovia. Yeah.
Sokovia
Well,
had been
They
through
looked
some
terrible in
wars.
those flashbacks.
It was a war zone. It looked pretty rough.
Yeah, so what if it was maybe representing them, offering them their magic powers?
Yeah, absolutely. So Coach Mosby mentioned something, by the way. We kept calling it 90s, and I had not thought about this, but Coach Mosby says, question, wouldn't this last episode have been the 2000s? Malcolm in the Middle is in the 2000s, and The Incredibles is a 2000 movie. Only 90s thing was Parent Trap. Also love the podcast, he says.
Yeah, if they started in the 50s, 6 episodes up would be the 2000s, right?
Yeah, but that one episode took a diversion and didn't show anything from inside the hex.
Oh yeah.
So this would, if they're staying strict to the eras or whatever, they'd be 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. But all of the references here are from early 2000s. I think Malcolm in the Middle started in 2000 to 2006. I would still say that a lot of this was very 90s in its execution, even though Malcolm in the Middle is 2000s.
Malcolm in the Middle felt very 90s at the time. Like it was. It was.
I don't know about that. It came out in 2000, and it was like a super modern it was a new thing at the time. The way they were talking to camera, like it's kind of proto The Office, right? When did The Office come out? The Office was a few years later.
Yeah, there was an English version of The Office, which was years before that one.
Yes, and they did the
Office was 2005.
Okay, and the UK Office was, I wonder, not that far. Yes, 2001. So all that talking to camera stuff was just starting out. So like, I would say the Malcolm in the Middle, while that music at the beginning of the thing is super 90s, the color palette of Malcolm in the Middle feels 90s. I think it's one of those anachronisms. We look back and think of things as 90s, but really it's not like things have hard lines. You know what I mean?
Like, the 90s was only like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, right?
21 years ago?
Don't say it.
Stop it. I don't like
To
it.
me, the 90s was 10 years,
Yep.
the 80s was 20.
Yeah, when you think about the 80s on all the classic rock channels now, and you're like, what? The 80s is just
don't play
80s
that.
music. And then you're like, oh, it's 40 years ago.
Oh God, there was this TikTok video that I saw recently where a teacher was like, one of my students came up to me and was like, hey, can you play some classic rock? And she's like, hell yeah, like what do you want? Some like the Eagles, or like, she starts naming off all this stuff, and they're like, no, like Blink-182. And she's like,
Oh, no.
get out of my
It's not rock.
get out.
It's punk rock.
That is so crazy. Yeah, that's insane. Okay. I think we've
No,
got to be
I don't
about
wanna be old.
done. We almost made it through the stuff I put in the doc, but man, we're not going to make it. We're already at 2 hours. So I did want to mention, so one of our patrons sent in this
Speed
little
round.
tidbit. I mean, we could do a quick speed round. Let me throw this out real quick before we do a speed round. One of our patrons wrote in and said, loves the podcast, This is Fergus Wallace. He said his younger brother, Cairns, is participating in a 20-hour charity stream as part of the British Red Cross anti-loneliness campaign. This Saturday, the 20th of February, he will be streaming from 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. Wait, it's 6 a.m. Oh, wow. He's doing 20
Greenwich
hours.
Mean Time.
He's doing
crazy,
20
yeah.
hours. So Greenwich Mean Time, wow, which is 10 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for us Yankees, starting at 10 p.m. On the 19th for you guys. That's Central Time. Sorry, he was converting it for us, I think. 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
No, that would be midnight on the 20th.
Okay,
for
so
us.
basically the 20th, he's going to be going all day. Or, well, 20th, he's starting late on... In all the things I just said, I'm trying to like make it sound easier. But anyway, February the 20th, streaming 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, 10 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. There we go. Check it out if you guys would. He's trying to the goal is to raise 500 euros for the charity.
That's pounds.
That's pounds. Okay. 500 pounds for the charity. And for every 25 pounds raised, one shot will be taken. That doesn't seem safe.
That sounds like my kind of game.
That doesn't seem safe at all.
Shots of what?
Yeah, I don't know. It's twitch.tv/Minigus321. So it's MINI Gus. Mini Gus. We'll say that. Mini Gus. MINI Gus 321. So check it out. GUS. Anyway, I just wanted to give a shout out. Doing some good charity work. And 20-hour stream is hard. I did like an 8-hour stream the other day, and that was hard. It wasn't that hard.
Just doing these
That
like
sounds
2.5 hour
crazy.
streams is rough.
Yeah, I get tired on 2.5.
Don't you start yawning, because that's
Don't
going to
you
make
do
me
it.
start yawning.
I'm sorry.
Oh, man. Okay.
I'm coming into you from the future here. It's 10 o'clock.
Well, we'll do a quick speed round. And I'm saying 10 minutes, and we'll knock out as many feedback as we can. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this ad with no control over. And we're back.
And we're back.
We're going to do a speed round. We're going to hit
And we're back.
as many of these as we can. Go for it.
Jeff Meyer says, I have a theory for you guys after watching episode 6 of WandaVision. What if Monica's contact to make her vehicle get back into the Hex isn't Reed Richards, but Victor Von Doom? Say they get in with him driving, but when they try to escape later, he leaves them behind and flees by himself in a damaged vehicle, which in turn leaks CMBR into said vehicle and gives him his powers. Just a crazy thought I had. Love the pod, though. Until next time, true believers.
Thank you, Jeff. I love it.
Yeah,
that's great.
I like it.
I like any of these theories with all the different villains that it could possibly be. And I like that a lot because a lot of people are saying Reed Richards, but why not Von Doom? Why not Love
Yeah.
it.
Why not Von Doom? I like the idea though of if it could be either Reed or Von Doom, in that like they've got this vehicle, it gets in there, they get through the first time successfully, it's fine, and then it gets damaged inside, and then while trying to leave, it would make sense for it to be Von Doom if he's like, bye, I'm out, F you, deuces. And
Just leaving.
And then because it's damaged, there's like a breach in the hull or something, and the CMBR from going through the barrier gets in there, and like because it's shielded, it just gets in and just like bounces around a lot and like supercharges the person.
Right.
Scars his face and whatever. Like,
oh yeah. Like he's in there. Okay. I like it. I like it.
Good one.
I do like the CMBR connection with the Fantastic Four. It would make a lot of sense for them to show up here. But anyway, feed round. G.I. Joe says, now you're all talking about hexes. They're in Age of Ultron when Tony and Bruce are talking on the ship, a decent-sized honeycomb formation. And this was interesting. This is the moment in Age of Ultron when they're examining, I believe they're examining the Mind Stone. So, and they're looking inside the Mind Stone, and there's all these little hexes that are like, it's on a little pad they're looking at. And there's all these hexes, which I just found very interesting because it's this whole Mind Stone is very related here, because that's what was destroyed to destroy Vision. It might be what she's trying to rebuild, all that stuff. Okay, speed round.
On the ship though?
No, it's on the pad as they're looking at what they just retrieve the Mind Stone, and they're scanning the Mind Stone, and as the graphic, as they're looking inside the Mind Stone, it's like a honeycomb formation that's like seems to be holding the Mind Stone together.
Of course it is.
So yeah.
Of course it is.
So of course it is.
Yep. Interesting note, though, also, hexagons, because they're the best guns, are used in the formation of planes. Like, you layer aluminum hexagons in a stack and then sandwich them between sheets of aluminum.
Is this speed round information, Jeff?
Yes, and that becomes the shape of the airplane wing, right?
Uh-huh.
Are you the aerospace engineer, Jeff?
No, this is from that video that I keep telling you guys to watch.
You're the aerospace engineer.
Yeah. I was in the show. Hey, I've already done my shooting for this phase of the MCU, guys.
Yeah,
I'm just like Charlie Cox. I finished my shooting.
That did not seem to connect to WandaVision. We're moving on. Noob Freak
says, hey guys, I've been reading a lot of theories on who Pietro could be, and I don't think it's Mephisto or anyone like that. I think Pietro could have been from a different universe. Maybe Doctor Strange found him and sent him to the Westview bubble. I think maybe that could explain why Pietro was asking so many questions. What if he was asking the questions that Doctor Strange wanted answered? I think this is more reputable than is Pietro Mephisto, is Mephisto Pietro, or other theories like that, because first, it would tie in with Doctor Strange a bit more, and second, why would you get Evan Peters to play him if Pietro isn't from another universe? Why not use Aaron Taylor Johnson instead? Anyway, love you 3000 and can't wait to listen to the next podcast.
Love it. Thank you, Noob Freak.
Yeah.
The one thing I wanted to say about this is why not use Aaron Taylor Johnson? Possibly didn't want to be in it. Like this is a recast. This could just be any other recast. They could be, as much as I keep saying the Mephisto stuff could be all a red herring to you guys, the fact that he's Evan Peters could all be a red herring, and it could just be another recast like all the other recasts they've done in this universe. Yeah.
This could be a Edward Norton to Mark Ruffalo situation. This could be a Terrence Howard to Rhodey.
To Rhodey. Yeah, we can't forget we've
Don
seen it
Cheadle,
before.
that's his fucking name. God.
What are you saying?
He's
It's
Rhodey.
just Rhodey now. It's not like we haven't seen it before, and honestly, until you guys brought it up, I always forget. I'm like, oh yeah.
It could just be a recast. Absolutely.
We just forget.
It's because those guys are so good in those roles.
No.
It just,
absolutely not.
There are no coincidences in Marvel.
Yeah, there are not. No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. No coincidences. Steven.
Erroneous.
Erroneous on both counts.
Erroneous. Allegedly. Other words these lawyers say. Stephen Bennett says, hey guys, not to be that guy, but Evan Peters' character in those Fox movies was named Peter Maximoff. His character in WandaVision is named Pietro Maximoff. Totally different guy.
I like it. I like
In all
it.
seriousness, I do. What'd you say, Ash? Sorry.
I said, what if he's possessed by a demon?
Okay, never mind. I'm sorry I went to you. In all seriousness,
I take it back. I take it back.
Don't make me squeak my chair. I can't move.
in all seriousness, I do think his character is just supposed to be the same character played by Aaron Taylor Johnson in Ultron, just played by Peters, not the Fox version of the character brought over.
It's a character playing the character of this character that we've seen in other movies.
He's basically saying the same thing we just gotten to, talking about the different ways that they could do the casting.
Randy Kim says, someone on Reddit had a theory I'm expanding on. What if Ralph is the witness protection guy who was a sorcerer who Mordo killed? Agnes seems to be intrigued by the idea of Wanda bringing someone back from the dead. This could be Ralph. If we're talking MCU continuity, Doctor Strange ended with Mordo killing a sorcerer with plans to kill more. Chiwetel Ejiofor is confirmed for the sequel, and he has his own Wikipedia page for his awards, although it's mostly nominations. He has theater experience, and I can see Bettany being excited to work with him. For the board, Mordo and Mephisto do have history in the comics, so this could all end with Mephisto being the actual bad guy, but Mordo could show up before that. Maybe Herb is going to say, we're all sorcerers. Maybe he couldn't say it because sorcerers are blocked so Mordo can't find the rest of them. Maybe the town is full of sorcerers and the Hex was created to protect the children who are sorcerers in training, or kids of sorcerers who died during the Thanos battle. Still, I'm thinking, by the end, the Hex will be destroyed, Billy and Tommy will disappear with it, Wanda goes insane with the cliffhanger, and the post-credit would be the actual Mephisto reveal. I also want to put it on the board that I believe Wanda isn't crazy yet. She's making active choices for whatever reason to protect Vision or Westview from something. As a retired SJW, I want to believe that the actions of a woman in her own show would not be simplified to "the devil made me do it." So I will cling to non-Mephisto theories until proven otherwise.
Ooh, as a fair reason to not do it. I like it. Okay. I dig it. Randy, I like that a lot. I like all the Chiwetel Ejiofor stuff. I am a huge Chiwetel Ejiofor fan. Serenity is one of my favorite movies, and it's one of the ones that gave him his break, and I just think he's awesome.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I need to watch
sorcerers.
more of his movies. They're so good. And I think the Too Many Sorcerers thing, totally, we've talked about it before, but I think Mordo showing up here, even if he's not related to why this Westview thing is happening, him showing up to stop Wanda if she's attaining this level of power, this inherent sorceress ability, like I could totally see Mordo showing up.
That's why Jimmy Woo is the guy that's watching over this this particular witness protection dude, is because he's a sorcerer and he's been learning magic. And Jimmy Woo is the closest thing.
It's true.
He's the closest person to the magic that they have.
Nope. All right. Kyle S. Berkeley, LMSW, PhD. We're always going to read your letters, Kyle. Says, hey guys.
Hi, Kyle.
Hear me out on this theory. In the comics, Jane Foster had cancer and Mjolnir kept her alive. In the MCU, Jane Foster is going to be in Love and Thunder and possibly be Thor like in the comics. Monica's mother died of cancer. Darcy has legit concern looking at Monica's blood work. Darcy also is friends with Jane Foster, who we technically haven't seen since Thor: The Dark World, which is even more interesting because they showed Jane from that era in Endgame. What if Jane Foster has cancer from the Aether and Darcy knew that, which is why she showed legit concern for Monica going back into the town? Love you guys, Kyle. Interesting. I think this is interesting, this connection between CMBR, Maria's death to cancer, Jane Foster likely having cancer in the new movie, and then and Darcy looking at her blood work. All those things are really solid connections. Kyle's onto something there.
I like it.
I like it a lot. That's a really good catch. And if you think about all these connections through all this stuff, it seems to be that they could be setting up something where like the Inhumans, unfortunately. If they're going to collapse the Inhumans and the mutants together, it seems very possible that they're doing a thing where Inhumans, certain people interfacing with CMBR, or whatever this hex magic is that she's using, have the effect of cancer and death, and certain people encountering CMBR or her hex magic have the attain powers. And could that be the X gene? That does sound a lot like Inhumans, though. Like the Inhumans, when they touch at least in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., when non-Inhumans touch the diviner, they would turn to dust or whatever. So I don't know.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But I definitely like Kyle's connections that he's drawn. Let's turn to the live chat for one last time. Miss Ashley, what you got? You got anything?
Okay. I have a couple
Sweet.
little ones that we can
Speed round.
Okay.
Now it's Ashley's turn to read really fast.
I know. Skigaget says, how did Darcy go from, I don't know this word, Poli-sci major to sword hacker?
Political science major to sword hacker?
Maybe she was already a hacker before.
That's possible. I do think she stopped being poli-sci after the first Thor movie. After that, she went into whatever field she was studying with Jane, because in the Thor: The Dark World, she has an intern of her own, and they're working on like some sort of multi-dimensional, interdimensional stuff.
Right.
So that's I think the thing there.
That's I think the thing there.
Yeah. She changed that direction way back in like 2010. This is like 12 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. That tracks.
Math.
That tracks. Yeah. So I think that's it. I don't know about hacking, because hacking isn't really the same.
It's a very different skill set.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. But I guess she can use computers well. I don't know. Whatever.
It's the TV trope smart guy.
It's the MCU smart person. They are good at everything. That's what they do.
Yeah. Because I have several PhDs in astrophysics, that means I can hack. That means I'm obviously good with computer.
Absolutely. Okay, speed round. What you got, Ash?
All right. Our Breeze says, my two guesses of who the engineer is either Hank McCoy, who has a history with S.H.I.E.L.D. in the comics, or my preference, John Kay as Reed Richards. I could go for a Hank McCoy.
Oh, yeah, Hank McCoy. He was dating Abigail Brand at one point, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. Abigail Brand being a pretty prominent member of S.W.O.R.D.
Yeah.
He did a lot of work with S.W.O.R.D. I like that. And then because he's a bit of an engineer and general smart guy,
yeah,
he could go anywhere. He could
definitely step in and do anything they need him to do.
Right.
That's how that works.
You got a TV smart guy. There you go. Nailed it.
Okay. Esker asks, what we already covered, what is Project Cataract? And then he says, can we talk about the aerospace engineer being Talos's daughter and or Fury dropping the line to Monica in Captain Marvel? Only if you learn to glow like your Auntie Carol.
That's wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. I love that.
I finally learned to glow.
I learned to glow like my Auntie Carol. And I absolutely think that it could be one of the Skrulls that is this aerospace engineer.
I want it to be Phastos so bad.
I know you do.
I got points running on this one.
I had two more. I can just go real fast. Vermilion One says, I don't see this happening at all, but I want it. What if this last episode 6 killed Vision and they did a Law and Order CSI episode to find out what happened? Mordo would be the investigator uncovering Vision's death in the Law and Order episode, and Wu would be his sidekick.
That is amazing. I love it.
You'd like that.
I do wish they jumped around a little more genre-wise. Like, I get it that she's like trying to do a happy life, whatever, but I would love to see a WandaVision season 2 where she's in a different mindset, so she does a different type of show, and they go through the decades telling like a completely different, like, whatever. I don't know. It would just be awesome. I think this idea has legs. I like it.
Yeah.
Like, she's good on sitcoms. We need to go back in time and come forward with different kinds of drama.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Hera JK says, cue Mephisto. into front of a bank of screens, watching the podcast on one screen and the other MC movies on the others as somebody's watching me play.
So Mephisto is lit.
Mephisto's watching us.
He's viewing
like I
our
said,
universe.
$5 on the pay.
I like it.
He's on the Patreon.
Is he? Yeah, Mephisto confirmed as a patron.
Yeah, he's at least at the $5 level.
Speaking of Patreon, we're going to try to start doing something, and so that we don't have to mention things all the time at the top of the cast or let you guys know things, I'm going to try to throw a different way to support the podcast at the end of these shows, because we've got a bunch of ways you can support the network. Just so you know, if you're listening to this, if you're new to the network, we are a tiny network. We are not a big time thing at all. We started with just me and Jeff kicking around these shows a few years ago and has stuck with it, and a lot of people stuck around and listened, and we are very thankful. But we're trying to do more of it and trying to make some cool things for YouTube and some cool things for Podcastverse. And so if you want to support what we're doing, if you like these shows, if you're listening to this second hour, if you're like 2 hours and 20 minutes into this with us, and you're getting some enjoyment out of this, we're just going to throw in ways to support the podcast. And we have a strandedpanda.com/support page, and it's just different ways to support. Some of them are literally free, and some of them are ways you can support with money or buy things that support us, things like that. And one of them right now that I wanted to highlight was strandedpanda.com/Amazon. And what you can do is you can go there, and right now we have a bunch of WandaVision baubles up, or WandaVision Funko Pops up. And if you click on one of those and buy it, we get a percentage. So if you've been thinking about buying a WandaVision Funko Pop, do that. But here's the thing. This way. Here's the cool thing about these links. They're called affiliate links. And if you click on our link and then you go over there and buy anything, we get credit for it.
Anything at all.
Anything at all. It's the first time we've mentioned it on the podcast, I believe. But we now have this page up.
I have made recent Amazon purchases that I have forgotten to go to the link for.
Oh, no. Well, here's the thing. So if you like the show, if you like our network, if you like what we do, if you enjoy trivia and all these things, go over to strandedpanda.com/Amazon, and you can just click on any of the things there. You don't even have to buy the thing you clicked on. You just have to click on it, then get to Amazon through that portal. And then anything you buy, we get credit for sending you to Amazon for 24 hours. So if you're are about to buy a laptop and you go click on that, you could just send us $30 for nothing. That's how that works. So it's affiliate marketing stuff, and it really helps us out. So if you're about to make a big Amazon purchase, and I know all of us do every day, you can do it that way, and it helps out the network. And that would be huge for us to be able to keep making content and keep growing the content.
We'll podcast for clicks.
We'll podcast for Amazon clicks. Literally, there's these little ways you can support the cast that don't cost you anything extra. You get the same Amazon deals, but they just send us a little money for you going through our little portal. It's super great. So thank you guys for doing that if you get a chance. And Ashley, thanks for being on the show today. Thanks for producing.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
So it's always a pleasure to have you.
Get it all out of my mind. I feel satisfied now. I've got to talk about pretty much everything I needed to. Is it Friday yet?
Right? God, is it Friday yet?
I'm so freaking ready. Jeff, it was a pleasure.
Always, sir.
We'll be back soon. Peace.
Until next time, true believers.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, available everywhere you get podcasts, and now a video version streaming live on twitch.tv/strandedpandatv and available at youtube.com/strandedpanda. And if you'd like to learn more about all of our other podcasts, geeky projects, and ways to support the network, visit strandedpanda.com.